Raising kids is tough. Sometimes you need to use every tool in the box to get them to behave. Positive reinforcement, punishment, early bedtimes. You're just trying to get your kid to listen to you. Maybe you turn to an old wives' tale and use the oldest motivator known to man: fear. Kids won't go to bed on time. Tell them the boogeyman will get them if they're up past 8. Works like a charm. Every culture has their own version of the boogeyman. Spain has the sack man, who carries away naughty children in a sack. Slavic countries have Baba Yaga, a witch who lives in the forest and eats humans. Wow. And Democrats have Donald Trump. And if you don't vote blue, he'll get you.
Try to make Democratic base voters scared again. They can't motivate them on the basis of hope or their pocketbooks or any of these accomplishments. They have to scare the crap out of them. The strategy that people are kind of thinking about now is we're going to have these 1-6 committee hearings. Donald Trump's going to be in the spotlight. Let's take Donald Trump, take that 1-6 committee, the threat he poses to democracy, make him still the face of the Republican Party.
It's a desperate play by the Democrats. They can read the writing on the wall. They know the midterms are shaping up to be a bloodbath. They want to scare their voters into line like children. But voters are old enough to know the boogeyman isn't real. They're rejecting progressives' policies. Americans want to hear about fixing inflation, reducing crime. But to fix it, Democrats would have to admit they're the ones who caused it. And that's not going to happen. At a congressional hearing with oil executives today, House Democrats used the White House's talking points to blame gas prices on everybody but Joe.
We're here to get answers from the big oil companies about why they're ripping off the American people. At a time of record profits, big oil is refusing to increase production to provide the American people some much-needed relief at the gas pump.
Here's the thing. If the price of gas is driven by the global market, why is the price of oil coming down, but the price at the pump is still near record highs?
And yet, while consumers are being pinched at the pump, oil companies have been raking in profits and pushing for policies that will only make our country more dependent upon oil.
They just read that. They aren't even their own words. Someone wrote that for them. They don't understand what we want. Solutions. Not a charade. A lot of Democrats take donations from the same big oil companies they're smearing. Heck, a lot of the Democrats own stock in big oil. Big oil. It's just a rigged game these guys play with each other that we never win. Meanwhile, Biden's busy trying to win over the far left by freezing student loan payments. When? Until September. AOC says he's not going far enough, though. She won't endorse it until the nearly $2 trillion in debt wiped off the books. At this point, Biden's so desperate, right before the midterms, he'll probably extend it again because his party's going down in a ball of flames, but not without a fight. If the boogeyman scare tactics don't work, they'll just fight dirty. Listen.
Marjorie Taylor Greene, this woman, Klan mom, is especially upset with the 3 Republican senators who said they'll vote yes on Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson. Wow, where is Will Smith when you really need him, huh?
They ain't questions anymore. Because unfrozen caveman Congresswoman is no longer asking questions.
Silence is being complicit, and you got to call an idiot an idiot when you see the idiot.
Besides just being a moron, he's a useful idiot.
You know, in a Senate where there's Ted Cruz and Lindsey Graham, Tom Cotton is the lowest of the low. It shows you who this little maggot-infested man is. He does not deserve to have that pen. That is the Republican Party that we see today. It is a party built on fraud, fear, and fascism.
That last guy we just saw, Harrison, is the chairman of the DNC, who just called Republicans maggot-infested fascists. MSNBC host Joy Reid topped that by calling Republicans the pro-rape party who vote like al-Qaeda. Aren't these the same people that broke down anytime Trump mocked somebody?
We've gotten used to, I think, President Trump in the name calling that he's engaged in over the years. You know, crooked Hillary and name calling Rosie O'Donnell and so forth.
He goes out there, says, there's no room for name calling, and look at what Donald Trump does every single day.
It is offensive that we have Trump once again calling names and trying to divide and distract.
If the entire campaign is litigated around Trump's name calling, Trump's insults, Trump's lies, frankly, the Democrat can't be successful.
These people are just actors, all of them. Another thing to look out for in the fall, the return of COVID.
It is likely that we will see a surge in the fall. Again, when we talk about these things, David, these are uncharted waters for us with this virus.
Another surge right before the midterms. Perfect time for the mass mail-in ballots. It's so predictable. Slander, payoffs, and scare tactics. That's the Democrat playbook for November. Because their party is being run by this guy. Listen to what he said a few minutes ago.
You know what it is. Most people don't. To ensure that we rebuild America, we have to have a promise. A promise.
What was that? I don't even know what that was. A president is supposed to go out during the midterms usually and help campaign, raise money, brag about accomplishments. But Joe can't even make his way around the White House, let alone America. How is Biden going to convince people to vote for him when he can't even convince Obama to look at him? Barack knows Biden's hands on his shoulder there. He's just choosing to slight the sitting president. Nobody respects Joe Biden, not even his so-called best friend, Barack. This is a weak look. Humiliation in slow-mo. They're out of options, so they're going to go guerrilla warfare. This is going to be one of the nastiest elections ever. And Primetime will be there to cover every low blow and eye poke.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.